lines. You have the advisor's information that you are assigned, but as a default, if you want to make sure you get a hold of someone, there is our central email, iub21cs@indiana.edu. So I'll introduce myself. My name is Vincent Isom. I'm the director of the 21st Century Scholars Program, and I'm joined tonight with
All right, good evening, folks. My name is Jen Berry. I'm the Assistant Director of 21st Century Scholars and also the lead advisor, and I work with STEM students. And we have another advisor with us this evening who just joined our team.
I am Rebecca Guest Scott. I am a 21st Century Advisor and the Career Initiatives Coordinator. So you're going to see lots of information coming from me about great opportunities, not only to explore potential careers, but to do things like think about majors and paths to the goals that you have for after college.
Awesome, awesome. We have another academic advisor, Andrew Schwartz, who is our academic advisor and SMART program coordinator. We also have a special projects coordinator, Rebecca Braham. We also have our administrative assistant, Victoria Witham, and Rebecca Hayes, who is our AmeriCorps Scholar member. And I'll talk a little bit about a couple points that I don't want you to miss. Rebecca Braham is our, or Branham, is our special projects coordinator that's in charge of putting together that lovely newsletter that comes across your email frequently, the blasts that come out from our program, etc. We want you to be engaged with the program. So there is an opportunity. If you see the newsletter come through, you'll always see her direct email attached with a request for you to contribute to the newsletter. The purpose of that newsletter is to inform you of what's taking place in the point in time, as well as opportunities and opportunities to get involved and to learn about what other scholars are doing on campus and to introduce you to other scholars. So it's the perfect opportunity for you to reach out to Rebecca for an interview, or if you write poetry or just are involved in something that you want to share, please contact Rebecca and provide her with that information. Going back to Rebecca Hayes, if you have a scholarship problem, she is here to support you. These are a few of our team members. We do have additional team members that are there. So if you have any personal problem or anything you want to talk about or any academic problem, our team is fully equipped to support you and advocate for your needs. So don't hesitate to contact us. So what this evening is about, we're going to cover the following topics: maintaining your scholarship, 21st Century Scholar eligibility. What do I need to do to stay eligible? Where should my head be at this point in my freshman year? Important things to keep in mind and an opportunity for you to ask questions. We always want you to feel free to ask questions, not only about your academic pursuits or just about anything related to your IU experience. We're here for you.
All right, so let's talk about your eligibility. So let's go to the chat and start throwing out there things that you know are for eligibility. There's like 4 main things. What do you need to do to make sure that you keep your funding? 30 credits, yes. What else? What else? FAFSA, yes. And not quite a 3.4 or a 3.0, but we'll talk about the details. But the GPA, there is a GPA requirement. What else you got? So credits, FAFSA, GPA. I think that's it. Okay, well, let's see. So First, FAFSA. So the FAFSA, yes, thank you, Elizabeth, full-time status. The FAFSA is due April 15th. That's in a few months. And if you miss that deadline, you will not have access to 21st Century Scholars funding next academic year. That's a hard deadline, okay? The FAFSA opened in October. And so you want to make sure that you start completing the FAFSA early when it opens so that you don't get caught up against the deadline, because technical issues do happen, and we have seen that throw a student off of their funding. Okay, so Rebecca Hayes in our office can help if you have questions. Student Central can help in some ways. It's just, if you need assistance, reach out to us so that we can help make sure you get your FAFSA done. You must be enrolled in 12 credits. Yep, so you have to be full-time. And so that can be kind of confusing when you think about the 30 credit rule. So even though you need 30 credits in a year, your financial aid you can't receive your financial aid, like they won't process it if you're not in 12 or more credits, okay? So maintain SAP, satisfactory academic progress. So this is what relates to your GPA. So you have to have the GPA that you need is based on your major. So most students on campus, it's a 2.0, unless you are in Kelley School of Business, Social Work, School of Education, and I believe nursing. You need a 2.5 or higher, and that is checked at the end of the spring semester. It also connects to how many W's, incompletes, or F's a student has within an academic year, and then it becomes cumulative year after year. So having one W in the fall and maybe one in the spring isn't going to be detrimental. But it is when in our first year, we have maybe 4 W's in one semester and then 2 in another. Then we're getting up to where it can impact your access to financial aid. So it doesn't mean you lose 21st, but it means that IU Financial Aid Office will say, hey, wait a minute. Some of these outcomes aren't conducive to you completing your degree. So let's take a step back. Let's talk about what's going on. And that looks like appealing for your financial aid. Okay. So again, completing 30 credit hours per year. And that includes your AP, your IB credits, if you earned any, ACP, and dual credits. These can help get you to 30 credits. If you were a part of the group's scholars program and you did the group summer classes, those will be counted in your 30 for this academic year, okay? So going back to these dual credits that are held in your credit bank, if you don't complete 30 between your fall and your spring semester, and you have some dual credits in high school, so say you took 14 credits in the fall, and then you took 14 credits in the spring, and that's 28. But you did English composition, dual credit in high school, and you earned 3 credits. The state will automatically take 2 of the 3 credits in your credit bank from English composition and add that to the 28 that you completed between fall and spring. And that keeps you eligible based on your credits, okay? If you don't have credits in your credit bank and we're like at the end of the semester, maybe you don't pass a class and you thought that you would, and so now you're short on your credits, summer is an option, okay? But there is no 21st century funding for the summer, okay? But there are ways to finance classes in the summer, and we'll talk about that in a bit more detail, okay? All righty. So a couple things to maintain your scholarship. First, you got to log in to ScholarTrack, okay? If you have any issues with logging into ScholarTrack, you can reach out to the state 21st Century Scholar Office for support. You can also reach out to Rebecca Hayes for troubleshooting. I can assist as well, like in a drop-in. So though you don't have to navigate this alone, okay? But if you haven't logged into ScholarTrack since high school, not good. You should tonight. Okay. It's a good idea to check into it once a month just to make sure everything looks good, because there are things in there that are helpful in monitoring your eligibility and your credit bank. So first is there is a credit completion column. Okay. And within that, this is usually what students see at first. And you're like, what is this? I don't even know what this bar graph is trying to tell me. And so I encourage looking at the credit bank tab, so we've got overview here. Then you have hours, which is this one here, which shows you how many credit hours your university sent to the state. So this student completed 14 credits in the fall, and that's what IU Bloomington reported to the state. Okay. And they also get to see your GPA as well related to SAP. But what helps the most is to look at the credit bank tab, because here you can see how many AP or IB hours you completed, how many dual credit hours you completed. If you do more than 30 credits in an academic year, so like students who did groups, if you did 6 in the summer and then 15 in the fall, 15 in the spring, then you've earned 36 for the academic year. That extra 6 will go into this area here for credit hours earned in excess of 30. Okay. What you'll see that's kind of funky and throws everybody off is at this point, the state is taking from your dual credits or your AP hours or your excess hours, the amount of credits needed to get you to 30 from what they've already gotten reported by your university. So the 14 from the fall, plus, hey, let's just reserve 16 here so that this student, even if they don't do anything in the fall, please don't do that. In the spring, please don't do that. They still will be eligible based on completing credits, okay? The thing to always keep in mind is how many credit hours are actually used and what your balance is. So no credit hours have been used at all. They're just holding these, just as safety. But it's important to always look at your total. And if you find that you can't reach your 30 with the credit hours that you have in your credit bank, then you should talk to a 21st advisor and start planning how to get those credits. Okay. So being a group scholar doesn't actually impact. Yes. So I'll let Mr. Isom answer. Great. All right. So what should be on your radar at this point in your freshman year? So I'll let Mr. Isom take over and talk about some career things.
Awesome. Just to reiterate, if you're a group student, the money that you receive, if you're a group's 21st Century Scholar, the money you're receiving is 21st Century Scholar Scholarship and the Covenant. So it's always the 21st Century Scholars Scholarship and the Covenant first. And then if there's any need after that, if you're Hudson Holland or another scholarship program, then that money, if you have any remaining need, is stacked upon. So the other thing I want to touch on real quick is the benefit of having credit hours in the credit hour bank is so if you take a stumble, if there's a misstep, and also when you're planning with your advisor to take advantage of some wonderful opportunities that are available to you that we'll talk about a little bit later in this presentation. So where should my focus be related to career? Have you met with your career coach? If you haven't met with your career coach during last semester, it's very important that you meet with the career coach to discuss the potential career that you're interested in. If you're uncertain about a career, have some dialogue with your career coach as well as your academic advisor to align the coursework. Those are very important steps. In addition, to make sure you have a resume that is polished. Some of you have gone to resume workshops since you've been here, others have not. But one of the best things a career coach can do is look over your resume to make sure it's not a generic resume that's not up to snuff. There's other things, but that's the basics, and that's why it's important for you to meet with a career coach. We do have some peer career coaches that have hours within the building that we're located in, 300 North Eagleson Avenue. If you haven't visited us, that's where our office is located, right directly across from the Neil Marshall Black Cultures Theater building, as well as diagonal from the parking lot of the main library, right off of 7th Street. 7th and Eagleson is your marker to know that we're just one house away from that corner. Okay, do I meet regularly with my assigned advisor? Very important point. You should be meeting with your academic advisor on a regular basis, at least twice a semester. I often encourage 3 times, just so that you can make sure you're maintaining your academics, talking about related issues to your major, your future aspirations, your professional development. Very much important. Now, we do have someone that's on our staff that is creating great programming for you related to careers. So, do you want to take this opportunity, Rebecca, to plug a few of those opportunities?
Absolutely. I actually just dropped one in the chat. There are so many great events, panels, chances to drop in and get help with all kinds of what we sort of lump under career preparation. But one of the things I really want to emphasize is often freshmen think like, well, career is a really long way away for me. But I want you to keep in mind that when we talk about career prep, we're not just talking about getting a job when you're done with your education. We're talking about part-time jobs now in the community or on campus. We're talking about exploring the ideal major for you or minor or additions to your degree that could help you land eventually that career that you're going to be really happy with. So if any of you are sitting here now and thinking, I'm just not really sure that this is the right major for me, or you're sitting here and thinking, I picked my major, but now what? How do I develop beyond that? What's my next step? We have a number of events coming up. You get reminder emails from one of the other Rebeccas in our office. Those events, they're on our calendar online. But something new this month, you're going to start receiving a careers newsletter. It's kind of a mini newsletter totally focused on those events. I encourage you to check your email. Don't delete that one. Open it. Look at it. We have a number of exciting opportunities. I dropped one in the chat already. There's a Ready, Set, Interview event coming up with the Career Development Center that actually includes resume review and revision and tips in addition to lots of other career prep opportunities. We do things that encourage you to find placement with internships and develop your professional network with future employers. Again, as a freshman, you might be sitting here and thinking like, but I'm not going to do an internship right now. Fall of next year, sophomore year, is typically when you have to be applying for internships in order to get them in the summer of your junior year. You have to plan really far out for those things. So watch that list. We have great things coming your way. Take advantage of those opportunities. And we will be advertising those to you, and that will come directly to your email.
We have a summer jobs fair that will be happening in March. So keep your eyes peeled again on what Rebecca mentioned, these opportunities in the newsletter, in the blasts that come out from our office, because what I say at the beginning of the year is that this is not just the beginning of your academic career. This truly is the beginning of your professional life. The doors that you open based upon your campus engagement, based upon your networking, based upon your academic performance, you can maximize and open many doors. Not being engaged, not paying attention to your career preparation, and not performing well academically can close some of those doors. So do the best that you can do to the best of your ability. Self-advocate so that you can get the help that you need if it's not going the way that you want it to go, and all these things can be yours. So What am I doing this summer? Again, the summer internship fair is available. The summer camp jobs fair is upcoming. Please make sure you take advantage. So you could talk about what should I be doing during the summer? Should I go home and just work at McDonald's? If that's your option, there's nothing wrong with that. But what we want you to do is take time to look at other opportunities that may be available. And while you're working with McDonald's, what other things can you do to present a more professional resume when it's time to apply for interns? There's other means of getting practical experience. And we'll be talking about some of those in the future at these events. Am I following the roadmap to success? Again, that step by step, academics, professional development. We do have a link in your chat right now that will take you to the roadmap to success document that was created for 21st century scholars to make sure they're looking at opportunities and classes and other events and other action items that can enhance your experience, your resume, and therefore propel you with the skills needed to continue your development. So by the time you graduate, you're a well rounded candidate for any position you want to apply for.
Alrighty, so let's think about, kind of connected to career, where should your focus be pertaining your major? Okay, so you heard Rebecca mention a couple things. So at this point in the semester, say to yourself, I feel confident in my major choice. And if you can't say that, you should have an appointment scheduled with your assigned advisor. Okay, and we'll talk about how to find your assigned advisor and how to schedule an appointment with them. They are the first person here who can talk with you about academic choices towards the pathway that leads you to graduation, to a career, to professional school, graduate school, right? So, and it's often helpful to not think of your major as, oh, I'm majoring in psychology. That means I have to do psychology until retirement. Well, I mean, maybe you love it that much. But what you'll find is that a lot of people start out in one area and then move to something else that may be in the same area and then move to something else. And that's not like, oh, they keep quitting jobs. No, it's about career progression. Okay. So think about the major that you're doing, especially if you're enjoying it, as the thing that prepares you for your next after undergrad. So you should have a plan for exploring if you're not confident about your major, and ideally a year from now, going into the spring of your sophomore year, you should be settled into a major. You should be rounding out the last requirements to move into your major or apply that semester, because at the end of spring, a year from now, you are 2 years into 4 years of college and 4 years of funding for 21st century. So it's a prime time to set a boundary for how long you will explore. So hopefully you are exploring now, if this is relevant, and then, take the fall to be the last time that you do that. And you want to use the resources to help with your decision. We've talked about a few: career coach, career centers, programs, events, career fairs. Just going to hear from professionals about their careers can help you say yes or no, I don't want to do that. So there are a lot of events coming up with alumni coming back to IU to talk about the majors they chose and what they're doing in the world. Email. I know you all get a lot of email, but that's literally the only way that we can communicate with you all. So it helps you to check your email with some detail. So where should your head be focused academically? So at this point, you should feel comfortable with time management, or you should be committed to actively working on it. Okay. What are some things that you all do to manage your time? Do you have planners? Do you use alarms? What do you do? Throw it in the chat. I'm curious. Planner. Yes. Are these electronic planners, paper planners, on your wall planners? What do you got? Yep, whiteboards on the wall, iPads, Canvas, journals and planners. These are great. Yes. Yeah, I saw syllabi in there too. Absolutely. Great. And you do have a calendar. Google has a calendar. You also have a calendar with Outlook, your email, right? That's what we use as professionals here. And if anybody's been in my office, you've seen my color-coded calendar. This is great. Handwritten to-do list. You can't go wrong with that. Love it. I'm glad to see that you all are paying attention to managing your time. You should know how to manage your motivation. You should be tuned into when your motivation is high, when your motivation is low, and what is the thing that determines if you're feeling really energized or feeling really low energy? Is it because you have a paper and 2 exams in a week? Or is it because it's gray and it's winter, right? So it's important to pay attention to these things so that you can be prepared for them. Because winter comes every year, right? So if we're impacted by the grayness of the Midwest, which a lot of us are, then it is very helpful. There's sun lamps, right? But it's also helpful to figure that out so that you can respond to that in ways that are helpful and not hurtful. Okay. You should know how to move your ego to the side and ask for assistance when needed. Okay. So if something's not feeling like it's going right, it's okay to ask for help. If you are not sure how to organize your time, it's okay to ask for help. If you are not sure how to study for an exam or organize your notes, it's okay to ask for help. And it's also okay to ask your peers as well. Okay, because that's a network that's right there for you. It's important to understand the difference between homework and studying. Okay, so homework is the tasks, the things that you do that you have to give to your instructor for grading. That's homework. Okay, studying is reviewing material that your instructor lectures about, that you read in the textbook, that you took in your notes. It is the thing that supports the knowledge that you have to complete the assignments. Okay, so they work with each other. You can't just do the assignments and not study, and you can't, of course, just study and not do the assignments, because if you're studying, you might as well do the assignments, right? So it's important to know the difference. And how much time do you need in a week in order to be successful at both? Successful at completing your assignments and successful at studying the material for your courses. And lastly, do you know, let's throw this in the chat, when is the last time you can drop a class? If it is a full session class, if the classes go from now until the end of April, when is the last time that you can drop the class? It's the Friday before finals. Yep. So it's important to know that date, and I'm glad that y'all do. Good. So hear me out though, where it says, do you know when you need to drop a class? That's important, because even though you can wait until April 28th to drop the class, do you really need to hang on that long? So that's something to talk to your advisor about. Because sometimes we feel bad if we're like, I know I'm going to just drop this class, but I'm not doing really well in it, and it feels bad. Sometimes you can drop the class. Sometimes you can't. You can also drop classes and pick up second 8-week classes. Those are classes that begin the week of March 6th, the week before spring break. So they haven't started yet, so you haven't missed anything. But I'm going to tell you, the seats are disappearing. Okay, so if you have already figured out that you're not able to be successful in a course, like truly be successful in the course, not I just don't like it, or, but like I have looked at the syllabus, I have talked to the professor, I have looked through the textbook, and I know that I'm not going to be able to perform my best. You should talk with your advisor and see about swapping out of that class into a second 8-week course. Okay. And Rebecca just popped some important information in the chat about her help hour on Thursdays from 4 to 5 in our study table room. Rebecca, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, I can. I put a little info there for you in the chat, but you may, if you are somebody who has been in the great habit of opening your email and reading that newsletter, you probably saw in our most recent newsletter that I'm offering a help hour in the study table room in the DEMA house every Thursday from 4 to 5. You can just drop in, or if you want to schedule a time with me, you can email me and I can schedule that individually too. But I am specifically focused on helping students with things that it's hard to get help with other places. Stuff like time management. So if you're having trouble managing your time, figuring out how to make your schedule work for you, that's something I can help you with. If you are either just don't know how to study, or the way you're studying just isn't working for you, and you figured out that you need some new techniques in your toolbox to help you be the most successful version of you, I can help with lots of new study techniques, and we can customize kind of experimenting and finding something that works for you. If you are somebody who feels like you're struggling with college level reading, or reading in certain kinds of content, or you read and read and read, and then you go, gosh, I don't remember anything I just read. That's something I can help with too. I'm a former English teacher. I can help with all those reading things. So anything like that, where there's not like a tutorial service. It's not, I'm not offering finite help. Believe me, you don't want me to help with finite. But all those things that you can't get help with other places, I'm there. I will be in the study table room in the DEMA house. So for those of you who don't know where that is, and this was just popped in the chat, that's at 300 North Eagleson, which is right across from the near Marshall Black Culture Center. Sorry, I got hung up there for a second. I can help some with writing, but I want to put in a plug for writing tutorial services, because they are your absolute go-to resource on campus for really fantastic, excellent writing help. So while I can certainly help with those things, there is excellent professional help on campus that is ready and waiting for you to come in and ask for that assistance. So I'm really primarily focused on providing help in areas where there isn't an existing service. So shoot me an email if you have individual questions. I'm happy to answer individually, but I hope I see some of you starting to pop in on Thursdays from 4 to 5.
So I just want to reiterate, again, take advantage, study table hours, study tables within our building. There's always a snack, water, bottled water there for you, open from 9 until 7, Monday through Thursday, 9 to 5 on Fridays. So it's always there. And again, those wonderful services provided. If you do have a question about your citation, you can ask Rebecca during that hour. But please, if you want some great help, like was mentioned, the WTS is a great spot to be. If you come to our space studying and need that additional question answered about citation or English, and Rebecca's there, don't be shy to utilize her if she's in the space and you're there.
And one of the good things about where we're located is writing tutorial services right up the street in Wells Library, right? So, I mean, there's a whole library right close to us. We're in a really good spot. And I will say, like Rebecca said, she's trying to she's not trying to duplicate efforts, essentially, so that she is really offering something that there is no one else on campus is doing. And so this is something I would call an absolute perk of being a 21st century scholar. So think of your friends who are not 21st century scholars and don't have access, don't have a team of advisors available or an advisor who sits for a help session, okay? So, y'all are special. It's good, it's good. So the last thing about academics here, did you all know that you can retake a class to boost your GPA if you didn't earn an A in the course the first time? Okay, this is particularly helpful if you had a grade that was a C- or lower than a C-. Have you all heard about that? Anybody know what it's called? Marina, what's your question?
Okay, my question was, let's say if for me, let's say since my major only requires 30 credits, my sociology major, I'm more than likely probably to complete that prior to my 4th year, maybe there may be a chance. And then, but let's say my GPA is a bit lower. Would I be able to still stay longer, my 4th year, whatever, and just take that exact same class and you guys can pay for it based off of what you're saying here?
It's a very good question, and that is something that we will talk about. But the short answer is no. You can't, unfortunately, finish your degree and then hang around. So once you've finished your degree, you've met your goal, right? So also 21st Century will literally not send funding for you because their objective is to help you get a bachelor's degree. So if like you came in with a lot of credits and you do want to hang around and stay for the time, the 4 years, what you want to do, because you came in with a lot of credits, and that's something we can look at specifically, you may not need to take 15 credits every semester, or we should talk about double majors. Okay, that's an option. A major and a few minors. College of Arts and Sciences allows you to have up to 3 minors. You can do 3 majors and 3 minors. I mean, that's a lot, but students do it. So I would encourage you to start making a 4-year plan. And if you do finish before the 8th semester, then talking with an advisor about how you can strategically plan out 8 semesters, what you want to do now.
And there's also a consideration when you're planning overseas studies opportunities. That's one opportunity that sometimes you take a reduced load during that time frame when you're studying abroad for a semester or a year. Same thing for internships. If you need an intern for your major or you're interested in doing an internship, that's another option for you to plan accordingly so that you can extend out your time, get the professional experience, and still maintain your credit hours and be funded.
So for the questions, hand raise, if you don't mind holding on to those, I want to finish the presentation. We'll have the Q&A section, and then we can answer those, okay? All right, so the last thing here is thinking about your self-care, okay? Ask yourself, can I gauge how I'm feeling and have the tools to deal with my feelings? And where do you go to get the tools to help you with your feelings? Throw that in the chat. What are some resources on campus that can assist with that? Absolutely. CAPS, Counseling and Psychological Services through the Health Center. Okay, so you do get 2 free sessions. Every student does. But honestly, after those 2 sessions, you got to go back. So don't let cost be an issue. So if the charge, which I believe is $35 a session billed to your bursar, is not something that you can financially handle, you can speak with your CAPS counselor about the sliding scale. And so this is a form that you fill out. You don't need FAFSA information, financial information. It's just a form between you and your CAPS counselor, and you can write in how much you can pay. If it's 0, it's okay, because they want you to get the support, okay? So we don't want to let that be an issue. We will talk about appeals as it relates to 21st Century. If you're short on your credits because something happened in the academic year that impacted your ability to complete 30 credits, like sometimes mental health can really distract us, and it can cause us to drop classes or not pass classes. And so the state does have an appeal process, but you really need a documented letter of support from someone like a CAPS counselor, okay? So you have to go to CAPS to get the support so that they can write a supportive letter for your appeal. And that's something related to IU financial aid appeals, which we'll talk about in a little bit as well. Great, I'm glad you all know about CAPS. And so think, do you have a support network here? Do you have friends? Do you have mentors? Do you know any faculty or staff that are there to support you? So just keep in mind that we are professional staff, the staff members of like the Group Scholars Program, Hudson and Holland, Hutton Honors, your advisors, if you're in your major already, we are professional staff who are here to support you, Okay, so if you felt like you connected with someone and you feel comfortable talking with them, go back and let them know that you feel comfortable. And then ask yourself, do you have a balanced work-school life? Okay. Work or school life with your social life. So do you have a social life? And so, if you are out, you don't have to be going to sporting events and to parties to have a social life. Really, the balance comes in when you do interact and have things that you do that are not just academics, whether it's a club you've joined, an organization, that you hang out with friends or do things, go out to eat together, eat on campus together. That's you socializing. Okay. And we have a student organization. It is the IU 21st Century Scholar Leadership Corps. And there is a volunteer portion. There's a public relations portion where they put on events for students. And we have the ambassador division where we have students come to campus. So it's outreach season. So lots of scholars who are in high school or middle school will be coming to campus. And you have the opportunity to be selected, if you're a part of the organization, to be on a panel, to help work with students, to help them hear your story as a scholar. In our most recent newsletter, there was a blast about our spring shadow. So that's coming up. So if you would like to spend some time and have a prospective scholar shadow you for a day, that's something you can do. I mean, think about how valuable it would have been for you, or if you had that experience, to come and to visit IU and spend a day with a 21st century scholar, going to classes with them, eating meals with them, seeing what they see, right? That's a little bit different than just the campus tour. All right, so we have a few reminders. The first one is about transitions from high school. So you probably figured this out already, okay? That college involves a lot of you managing your own time, you telling you where you need to be when you need to be there, right? It also involves a lot of you being accountable for the decisions that you make. And accountability isn't always scary. I mean, when you make a positive decision, like to study for that extra hour or to go to class the whole week, there are positive consequences from doing those things, like doing well on the test or performing well in the class. So let's throw in the chat. What are some things that you have learned so far about transitioning from high school to college? Like, if you could go back to August and say this to yourself, what would you tell you? College is what you make it. Absolutely. Taking notes, accountability. Yes, APA. Free time, office hours. You are in charge of your future. And absolutely, sleep is important. Make friends. Yes, reach out for help. It isn't so bad if you stay on top of things. You're right. These are nuggets. Yes, you will have moments when you feel overwhelmed, but once it's not so shocking, that's when you can learn the ebb and the flow, the dip and the soaring of your moods and your energy. This is great. Absolutely. Being organized can help. Great. I'm glad that you all have some wisdom to share with your peers. So let's talk about a couple financial aid reminders. So the first one, you've heard us talk a lot about SAP, Satisfactory Academic Progress. And I mentioned that financial aid will review your academic outcomes for the year at the end of the spring semester once grades come in. And so if you find yourself, your cumulative GPA below the standard of your major, so if you're in university division, you weren't a direct admit, you haven't been admitted to your major yet, you're a pre-major, you're held to a 2.0 unless you're going for education, social work, nursing. Kelly is, if you're in university division, it's still a 2.0. If you are in your major, okay, and you were direct admit or you certified into your major already, then it follows the same. So unless you're in nursing, as you wouldn't be in nursing, 2.0 generally for everybody, unless you're pre-social work or pre-education or pre-nursing. Okay, so if you find yourself below that, financial aid will say, hey, what's going on? We're not going to release your financial aid to you until you let us know that you're okay and that you are in your best place to be productive and have the outcomes that you want. And that relates to your completion rate also. So the completion rate is the number of, it's a ratio. So I'm not going to get all mathy on you, but it is a ratio of how many W's, incompletes, and F's a student earns. And so since you're freshman, we're looking at your first year, okay? But when we go to your second year, we're looking at your first year and your second year. So if this year you had a lot of W's, and a lot would be 2 or 3 in one semester, okay? That's when we're creeping up on the danger zone, okay? So sometimes a student will be a junior and have had a lot of W's their first year, and they drop a couple things junior year, and their completion rate hits them and catches up to them. So you always have to be forward thinking. How will dropping this class now, and I dropped a few in the fall, impact me down the line, okay? But there are appeal processes. So if you find yourself with your GPA below the threshold for good standing or what is required by your academic program, or you did have a lot of W's, or you got a couple incompletes, or maybe several F's, and financial aid notifies you, you should work with a 21st advisor or your assigned advisor to complete your satisfactory academic progress appeal. The best time to do that is in May, because advisors are really busy with new student orientation from June 1st until the end of July. So there's gonna be a long time in between communication, but there are 3 good weeks at the end of the semester when we are here and literally waiting and ready to help you with appeals. And we in 21st are here and ready to help you with state appeals. So if, again, you're short on your credits, something happened this year that impacted your ability to complete 30 credits, and you find yourself behind and you need to appeal to keep your scholarship because you don't have credit bank credits and summer really isn't an option for you, we should talk about an appeal. And keep in mind, the state takes 3 weeks to respond to an appeal, okay? IU takes 2. So you don't want to wait until August, because you will be starting the academic year without the guarantee of funding, okay? Okay, so we'll talk about this more. There's usually a lot of questions, and that's okay. So the last thing here I mentioned, and this was the question that Marwani had, freshman scholars who come in with a lot of credit. So some of you have associate's degrees, many of you finished your gen ed certificate in high school at Ivy Tech. So you have like 30, 60 credits, and that feels like a year, 2 years, right? So if you don't want to finish your degree early, meaning sooner than the 8 semesters that 21st allows, you really should build your 4-year plan and make sure that you have enough requirements, not just classes you want to take, but actual requirements needed for the degrees that you're pursuing, the majors and the minors and any certificates. If you run out, you run short, then either you need to slow down your pace, or you need to add something like an overseas experience or an internship for a semester. There's so many things that you can do that are so beneficial to you after you leave college. And this is a time, if you don't use the 21st century funding, then it just kind of withers away after you finished your degree if you didn't use it all up, okay?
I want to address a quick question related to FAFSA. As you heard, your FAFSA you have to fill out every year of your undergraduate career. Now, if you're going on to grad school, you still will complete a FAFSA, but it is for funding for your grad school. So the FAFSA is just the federal government saying how much funding you're eligible for in pursuit of your education, no matter what level. But the 21st Century Scholarship ends with your undergraduate experience.
Thank you for clarifying that. And so I did put, not many people know what FAFSA stands for, but I'm one of those people. It's the free application for federal student aid. And so while 21st Century is state aid, a lot of state programs kind of piggyback on that form so that they can get the financial information to determine who's eligible. Okay. So if you're going to be in school, fill out your FAFSA. If you're in undergrad getting 21st Century, fill it out by April 15th, before April 15th. Okay, so it talked about meeting with your academic advisor. So every academic advisor on IU's campus uses the Student Appointment Scheduler, SAS, that you can find through 1IU on to find our calendars. Okay, so if you are not assigned to a 21st advisor, and I'll show you how you can tell, and you want to meet with one of us, if you go to SAS and you click on Search Advisors, you can put in 21st, and our team of folks who are on SAS come up. And that is myself, Rebecca Gescott, our Career Initiative Advisor, Rebecca Hayes, our AmeriCorps Scholar Corps member who helps troubleshoot scholarships, and Andrew Schwartz, another 21st advisor who works with our SMART program, okay? To be sure of who your advisor is, the advisor's name that is there, or the unit, might say media school, might say psychology office, may say Luddy or something. If you don't see just one person's name, you might see two. That is your assigned academic advisor. And so when you go in, it's their calendar that is visible to you first as a default. So unless you search for an advisor, you're going to be looking at your assigned advisor's calendar. Okay, you can filter by appointments, you can filter by drop-ins. Okay, so within our office, because I'm the lead advisor and I often do meet with many of you all who are direct admits or not, or are like a group scholar, I have an option for virtual or in person. But students who are assigned to us, we are meeting in person this semester. Okay. Andrew and I have drop-ins at least twice a week, so at least 1 hour. Sometimes you might not see us have drop-ins because a meeting came up, or maybe we're out of the office. So you always, 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 always want to check SAS before you come to 300 North Eagleson, because it's hard to do, but I will tell a student, I'm sorry, but I have a meeting right now, or I have an appointment and I can't see you right now, and you have to come back when I have drop-ins, okay? So it helps save you the trip and helps you plan. That's that time management and organization so that you don't feel turned away, okay? So now we are at our questions portion. We're gonna pop in the chat the evaluation for our meeting this evening. This helps us to make programs better in the future. So if you don't mind completing that, and I think Rebecca's going to pop that in the chat here, and I'm going to stop the record so that